You got a new lead. Dutch buyer, pre-qualified, serious budget, and 3 days later, they went cold. Sound familiar? What if I told you that wasn't bad luck? That was a timing problem. And today, we're going to fix it permanently. Here's what nobody in this industry tells you. Dutch and German buyers do not behave like your local buyers. They don't impulse purchase. They don't get swept up in the moment on a property tour and sign papers that afternoon. They have a completely different internal clock when it comes to making decisions about international real estate. And if you don't understand that clock, you will keep losing deals that should have been yours. So let's talk about the actual timeline. Research published by various European property platforms consistently shows that Dutch buyers typically spend between 6 and 18 months in a research and consideration phase before they make any serious move on a foreign property. German buyers are often even longer, sometimes 2 full years of research, comparison, and deliberation before committing. That's not them being difficult. That's them being exactly who they are culturally. They value due diligence. They want to feel completely informed. They will read every document, compare every listing, and ask questions that sometimes feel exhaustive to an agent who's used to faster decision cycles. Now here's where this gets interesting for you specifically. That long research window is not a problem. It is actually your biggest opportunity. Because at some point in that 6 to 18-month journey, they reach what I call the activation moment. Something shifts, the pension locks in, the kids leave home, the savings hit a target, and suddenly they go from passive researcher to active buyer almost overnight. They start filling out contact forms. They request viewings. They want calls. And here is the critical part. When that moment hits, they are comparing multiple agents in multiple markets simultaneously. The first agent who responds with genuine, relevant, informed communication in their language wins the relationship. Not the cheapest property, not the biggest agency, the fastest, most credible response. Let me break down the typical stages. Stage 1 is the dream phase. This is pure research. They're on Rightmove, Idealista, Funda International. They're in Facebook groups asking general questions. They're watching YouTube videos at 11 at night. They're not ready to buy, but they're building preferences and mental shortlists. Most agents completely miss this stage because there's no immediate transaction. Stage 2 is the validation phase. Now they've narrowed their region, they have a budget, they're starting to contact agents. This is where your lead comes from. This is the form fill on your website, the portal inquiry, the message on WhatsApp, and this is where speed matters more than anything. If you respond within 5 minutes with something genuinely helpful in their language, you become the trusted advisor in their mind. If you respond 12 hours later with a generic reply, you are already behind 3 other agents who moved faster. Stage 3 is the verification phase. This is viewings, legal questions, tax implications, residency rules. German buyers especially will deep dive into NIE numbers, transfer taxes, inheritance law, things that sometimes surprise agents who aren't expecting that level of interrogation. If you can't answer these questions confidently or get answers fast, they will find someone who can. Stage 4 is commitment and closing. This actually moves relatively quickly once they've reached it. Dutch and German buyers who have done their homework don't drag their feet at the finish line. They're decisive once they're ready. So what does all this mean practically for how you run your business? It means your follow-up system cannot be one person manually checking a phone between viewings. The lead that comes in on a Tuesday night at 8:30 while you're having dinner, that lead needs a response within minutes, not the next morning. And that response needs to be in Dutch or German, it needs to reference what they actually asked, and it needs to move them toward the next step in their journey without feeling like a sales pitch. This is exactly why agents who implement intelligent, automated follow-up in the native languages of their buyers completely change their conversion numbers. We're talking about systems that respond instantly, qualify the lead, answer initial questions, and book the call, all without you lifting a finger at that moment. And then when you do show up for the consultation, they already trust you because you showed up for them at 8:30 on a Tuesday night when no one else did. Here's a number to hold on to. Research across European real estate markets suggests that response time is the single biggest predictor of whether an international inquiry converts to a viewing. Not the property price, not your years of experience, not your website design, how fast you respond and how relevant that response feels. Buyers in the activation phase will literally move to the next agent on the list if you don't respond within the hour. That's the reality of this market right now. The agents who are winning in Costa Blanca, Algarve, Dubai, Cyprus right now are not necessarily the ones with the best properties. They're the ones who built a system that matches the buyer's timeline, patient and educational during the dream phase, fast and credible during the validation phase, detailed and reassuring during verification, and smooth and confident at closing. Your pipeline isn't leaking because your leads aren't good enough. Your pipeline is leaking because the gap between when a Dutch or German buyer reaches their activation moment and when you actually have a real conversation with them is too wide. Every hour in that gap is a chance for a competitor to fill it. The fix is not working harder. The fix is building a system that works when you can't. Multilingual, instant, consistent, intelligent enough to feel personal even when it's automated. That system exists today, and agents who are using it right now are closing deals that would have gone cold 6 months ago. If you want to see exactly how that system works in practice for international buyers in your specific market, drop a comment below or hit the link in the description. The buyers are there. The timeline is long. Your window to become their trusted agent is short. Let's make sure you're in it.